It's been a game that began in the 1800s, a game that was played on corners of open fields, the game of catch, the crack of the bat, all part of the game. When you think of the game in Detroit, you think of the corner. The corner of Michigan and Trumbull has been home to the game of baseball for over 100 years.
There's the pitch, and a drive going down to right field for a hit. And here comes the throw to the plate, here comes the run in, and the ball game is over, and the Detroit Tigers are the new champions of the world.
Baseball is forever. A game of memories on sunny summer afternoons, on cool, crisp evenings, unique memories that families have passed down through generations.
He swings a line shot, base hit, right field, the Tigers win it. Here comes Kaline to score, and it's all over. Downward singles, the Tigers mob Don. Kaline has scored, the fans are streaming on the field, and the Tigers have won their first pennant since 1945.
Bennett Park, Navin Field, Briggs Stadium, and lastly, Tiger Stadium.
Popped up in foul ground and playable, and the Tigers win the pennant.
A place where baseball has been known for over a century. A place where tears have turned to cheers. And a place we'll remember.
Indeed, Tiger Stadium is not about steel and mortar that, to be honest, have each seen better days. It's about memories of growing up here to some degree, of spending the day in the sun with those that are close to us, of spending the day with a team with whom we have lived and died. And that's why it will be missed. It's been said the best things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Good evening, everybody, and let me be one of the last to say it. Welcome inside Tiger Stadium. I'm John Keating. Well, she's sleeping now, but it's been a rather busy day for the old girl. Tiger Stadium's last day to receive baseball visitors. A new park awaits. In the case of baseball in this town, it will be the completion of a very wide circle of life. In the next hour, we'll look back at some of the corner's glory of the most important memories and talk of others with others, including Willie Horton, who recalls his youth and in his hometown this home away from home. Josh Lewin swings us around the park and shows us some of the intricacies of Tiger Stadium. Longtime Tiger fan Tom Selleck and his dad talk of their days here in Detroit. You want big games? There were many, including Bobo Newsom's heroic effort in the World Series, plus the home runs. How many and who hit them out of Tiger Stadium? All that's still to come. Once upon a time, they came by horse and carriage to see Detroit's baseball team play a game on this site. All of the history here began in 1896. We knew nothing of world wars when they started playing baseball at the corner. Radio was just a rumor at the time, and there was no need for parking lots since the automobile had just been invented. It was the end of April 1896. Detroit beat the Columbus Senators in a professional baseball game at what was known as Bennett Park. That was a piece of earth named for a catcher in town who'd been crippled in a freak streetcar accident. When the Tigers became a major league franchise in 1901, the capacity moaned its way up to 10,000. For the 1909 World Series, temporary bleachers pushed it north of 17,000. But clearly a change was in order. Team owner Frank Navin could wait no longer. And in 1911, the grandstands were torn down, and for a then eye-popping cost of $300,000, what is now Tiger Stadium grew out of the ground and reconfigured. Home plate was moved from right field to its present location, and the stadium was renamed for the man who paid for it. It became Navin Field.
And here's the first pitch, gets a line drive single into left field.
While the new park was listed as having a capacity of 23,000, more than 24,000 were in attendance at the corner's reopening, a game in which Ty Cobb stole home. Eventually, as Navin passed away and control of the team was assumed by Walter Briggs, Tiger Stadium's second deck was added, bumping capacity to 36,000. And under Briggs, the largest renovations were still to come. The ballpark was enclosed by adding left and center field stands and then expanded again. And in 1953, the man responsible for ballooning capacity to 53,000 renamed the park for himself. Briggs Stadium was born.
And breaks the Browns back. Tobin tosses a cross-country pass to Jim Dorn, and the play goes all the way.
One of the reasons for the expansion was that the Tigers were also sharing the facility with a Detroit Lions team that was dominant in the NFL. Aside from the 1940 season, in which they used the University of Detroit's football field, the corner of Michigan and Trumbull was the Lions' Den from 1938 through 74. And it was so decreed finally in 1948, let there be light. The Tigers, the last of the teams in the American League to play a night game at home. By 1961, broadcasting magnate John Fetzer purchased control of the club, and the corner was renamed again to be known until its conclusion as Tiger Stadium. The team that would win the World Championship in 1968 was the first ever in baseball to draw 2 million fans to the corner. The once green seats were replaced, and under a major renovation, the blue and orange motif was put in place as most of the seats were replaced and the park was repainted. And that was the scene of baseball glory again in 1984 under new owner Tom Monahan.
And a show of unrestrained joy. Ending a season they totally dominated, the Tigers are truly champions.
There have been revivals and concerts, and just recently, the three tenors went around the horn within Tiger Stadium, but those were merely distractions. This was always, first and foremost, a ballpark. And there was another chapter of memories here at Tiger Stadium tonight, memories that we will not forget. You know, it's not easy working a baseball beat. The hours at places like this are endless. George Cantor did it, and did it very well for the Free Press for 4 years, and then crossed over to the dark side, away from sports. He's now a columnist for the Detroit News and an author on the Detroit Tigers, and we're happy to be joined by George Cantor. It was a rather emotional closing ceremony that the Tigers threw at us here tonight.
If you didn't feel it tonight, you're a better man than I am, Gunga Din. You know, this was really when the faucets were tapped. It was fantastic.
What was your sense? What struck you from the post-game celebration here of this ballpark?
The most emotional moment that I felt was when Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker ran on the field together. That was so nice. It was like when the Wings won the Stanley Cup and they handed it to the two Russians right away. It was that sort of sense. They belonged together. They came on the field together. They took their little bow at second base. What a nice moment.
They came in together and they go out together.
Yeah.
Well, you've been coming to this place for a long time, and as they were playing baseball here, they were also playing football here, and there were some classic confrontations between the Lions and the Packers right about where we're sitting.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving Day always used to be the Packers. They always used to be the traditional foe for the Lions, and of course the game everybody remembers is 1962, when the front four just destroyed Bart Starr. The Lions had lost a tough game in Green Bay earlier that year, a game they should have won. They came back here, the Packers were undefeated, and the Lions just annihilated Starr, throwing him for a safety, just never letting. In fact, Jerry Kramer in his book called it the Look Out Bart game, because all they could do with the front four was yell, "Look out, Bart."
Of course, in those days, the most we had to celebrate was the Lions. The Tigers went a good stretch without having any success, but all that ended in a rather magical summer in 1968. Now, K-Line, who got, I think, the largest ovation tonight, was a large part of what happened here
My
in
favorite
68.
year. I had the privilege of covering that ball club, and it's a year I'll never forget. And the emotions in the city, and especially at this ballpark, were irreplaceable. I've never felt that sort of thing again.
What was that group like?
They were a fun group to be with. They were a veteran team. They told me when I wrote the book about them that the best thing about it was that they had all grown up together and they were best friends. And winning the World Series with your best friends is a special kind of thing.
And then we went until 1984, the next time we got a chance to taste a little baseball glory. And that also was a rather interesting collection of ball players, an interesting collection of people, I think, led by Kirk Gibson.
Yeah, well, that was, you know, in some respect, I enjoyed that season a little bit more because I could be a fan. In '68, I had to be a journalist, and I had to sit up in the press box, and there's no cheering in the press box. But in '84, when Gibby hit that home run, I was sitting out in right field, and I watched that sucker fall into the right field seats. And it was like, you hear the cliche, the park came alive. And looking around that park that day, everybody was in motion. Every seat, people were up on their feet, screaming, yelling. It was one of the most emotional scenes I've ever seen. And of course, Gibby coming around the bases and striking that pose in front of the Tiger dugout. I mean, if there is a picture that typifies the spirit of the Tigers, that was it. And it was just a marvelous, marvelous day.
And we had just a slice of that tonight, I think, when Rob Fick hit the rather dramatic grand slam homer to close this place out in style. George, we appreciate your recollections. Enjoy the evening, what's left of it here at Tiger Stadium.
Privileged to be here, really.
George Cantor, now of the Detroit News. We've just scratched the surface on a rather busy hour-long tribute to this place. Up next, Detroit native Willie Horton offers his emotional perspective. He patrolled left field for 15 seasons. And as we continue to remember Tiger Stadium, we'll hear from him. This place has rocked and rolled over the years. Even Alice Cooper has memories.
My dad brought me here at 7 years old at Briggs Stadium to see Jim Bunning.
It's always
against
Briggs
Herb
Stadium
Score.
to you, isn't it?
It's Briggs to me. And we won a doubleheader off Cleveland that day. Charlie Maxwell hit 4 home runs. I think Kaline got 6 hits. And I was in heaven. I could have stayed for the rest of the year. I could have just lived there.
We make it work.
The first game I played here against Cleveland Indians, it was a thing. It was like saying, wow, I made it to the big leagues. I've got my first start. Now let's capitalize on it. I mean, to me, that was the most people I ever pitched in front of because I was used to 3,000 people. And I think at that game there was like 17,000 or 20,000 people. And I just looked around and a ton of reporters. And it was your first start. You ended up with a victory, 2-1 against Cleveland, facing some great guys, you know, Bell, Manny, Rico Cardi. And it was just ended up, and you had a no-hitter going all the way to like I think the 7th inning, 7 2/3 inning, or 7 1/3 innings. You had a no-hitter going. And it just everything was clicking, and you were working good. But to me, that was the start of Mark Fidrych's career.
Well, and what a moment this was just a short time ago. The sight we all hope to see. Mark Fidrich sprinting in from center field to the mound, manicuring the mound once again, but this time scooping up some souvenir dirt. He is still very much the kid that we remember. The list of unforgettable characters who have worn the scratchy wool or the stretchy knit uniforms in this place is indeed a mile long, but there's always been a soft spot in the hearts of Detroit's baseball faithful for Detroit's own. One of the best ever produced by this town is Willie Horton. The closing of his ballpark has sparked a good deal of emotion, and Shireen Sasky has that story.
I raised up here. I've been coming in this park, slipping in here since I was 11, 12 years old.
And thus began the incredible bond between Willie Watterson Horton and the corner of Michigan and Trumbull, a pair destined to share an abundance of glorious moments.
What did baseball mean to you as a child?
Well, I tell you, all sports meant something. I didn't have this dream of I want to be a big league player. I had so much respect and big league players, I thought they were from another world.
But it was Horton who blasted rockets into outer space. As a sophomore at Northwestern High, he crushed a pitch into the right field light tower at Briggs Stadium.
When I hit the ball, it hit the ball in the tower, and it came back. And first of all, I was scared to run. You know, I was at home plate, and I hit the ball. I said, wow, man. So so you got to go around the base so it'd be a home run, but it shocked me because I never seen a ball take off like that.
As time rolled on, major league teams quickly took note.
I think I was signed to the Yankees because Mr. Patterson, the chief scout, just sent me a couple of catcher's gloves. And on the way downtown, Papa said, let's stop by Tiger Stadium. And that's how it happened. And you just didn't ask questions. When Papa said, went.
You're up with the Tigers. You finally take your first steps up on this field. What are you thinking as you see the stadium?
Well, first of all, I look back there and see all my friends. I'm trying to see my buddies and everybody. And, been raising up around here and knowing they're out here, and I'm still looking for them. So I'm going to go start hanging down through here. I catch them. So I started seeing people I've seen them since I was a child. The game was going through, and I guess about the ninth inning, Baltimore was beating us 2 outs, 2-1. And they said, you want to pinch hit? I said, wow. And I didn't know who he was pitching at the time. I hit a home run up at center field bleachers and tied the game. And that was history. Then Gates called. I'll never forget that, because Gates came back behind me, hit a home run, was back-to-back to win the game.
And soon after, Horton solidified a starting spot in the Tigers lineup, but at the expense of one of his mentors.
I kind of looked up to Colavito, and he came something special through my career, that he kind of took me on his wing and actually told me that Tigers going to get rid of him to make room for me, and I couldn't believe this. You know, I said, "You the Rock. Nobody get rid of the Rock."
What did he say?
And he said, "When you go out there in left field, stay focused. You probably get out there going to boo you at the beginning, but they'll end up loving you because they've been used to this old shoe out there so long."
But the fans embraced Willie the Wonder throughout his career as he gave them reason to celebrate. 1968 was not only the year of the Tiger, but the year of Willie Horton.
You know, Lou would have broke his leg if he tried to free him, one of your better catching the game black at home plate. So we had all disadvantage going in our favor, and we believe in ourselves, and that did turn the play around. And because we always believed back there then, and for the years I played all these guys, we never was out of game to the last strike though.
I know you must be feeling very happy.
I feel real good, Ernest. They underrated. They think we couldn't do it. We came back after we was down, and just feel great.
And you beat one of the real tough pitchers in baseball, in Mr. Bob Gibson, didn't you?
That's true. Now we number one.
I knew this was going to happen.
But 9 years later, Horton's life changed forever. He was no longer a Tiger. The team traded him to Texas to make room for a young outfielder named Steve Kemp.
And I remember the day I got traded, I cried all night in the room in Toronto. I could never say, I just couldn't believe I'm not a Tiger. Tiger's my life. And I cried in the room, but I had to become that man the next day for the players. And I remember going around the clubhouse in Toronto, and I ended up talking to Steve Kemp. And I tried to pass down the same word to him.
The same words that Colavito had voiced to Horton years before.
But the Tiger, they raised me. Exactly. And that was the hardest thing in my career, coming back playing against the Tiger for the rest of my career.
He persevered with the same dignity and class he possessed with the Tigers.
You know, I look back in life, I was very fortunate that the Tiger gave me opportunity, and I went out and performed and played 18 years.
With so many memories shared with one park, it's extremely difficult for Willie Horton to say goodbye. But after great debate, he decided to attend the final game at his beloved Tiger Stadium.
It's part of me dying. And I can't really explain that, express my feeling, how I feel about that. But it's part of me leaving. And I hope I can leave and go into the new park.
How do you say goodbye?
I don't know. I can't say goodbye. Well, Tiger Stadium will be part of Willie Horton's life as long as I live.
Willie Horton walked back into Tiger Stadium tonight. This was truly a night of mixed emotion for number 23. He received one of the loudest ovations, but this is an evening that he has been dreading, and it all bubbled over when Willie Horton ran into his left field position here at Tiger Stadium and just broke down. Truly one of those goosebump moments witnessed here at Tiger Stadium tonight. We've got more ahead. When we come back, Josh Lewin's rather unique look at the unique aspects of Tiger Stadium. That is still to come, along with a conversation between father and son. Tom Selleck and his dad reminisce about their days of coming to the corner, even to see football, and the likes of former Lions great Mel Farr.
First time I touched the football in Tiger Stadium as a professional athlete, I scored a touchdown in Tiger Stadium. So it was something that was very memorable to me because it was, hey, I know that I can play this game and play it at this level. So it was a real thrill.
I remember a friend of mine coached the high school all-star team here on some, from 11 in the morning on Thursday sometime, years ago. And he said, come on down to the visitors dugout. And I went in there, and there's the same thing in the Tiger dugout. There's this urinal about halfway up where the players can go. And I was in there, I'm going, wow, Ty Cobb peed here, Al Kaline peed here. And Fortunately, I had to go.
Did you?
Yes. I was at one with Tiger history. It's true.
The pride of Chelsea, the very offbeat actor Jeff Daniels, a big Tiger fan, and he is not alone among Tiger fans who are obsessed with the facilities here at Tiger Stadium. And while we are excited about the prospects of new facilities, of a gleaming new ballpark, there are nuances to the old one that will be hard to replicate. And there are those are some of the things that we truly will miss most. And with more on that, we bring in Tigers play-by-play voice, Josh Lewin. Josh?
Thanks, John. I'm standing under the tallest Tiger Stadium landmark, the flagpole, a stadium original, 125 feet of vertical history. It will soon be making the journey, of course, from Michigan and Trumbull to Montcalm and Witherell. Recently, I had a chance to make one last journey, a grand tour, if you will, around Tiger Stadium.
And we're starting up here in the Crow's Nest, my office. I want to give you a very brief tour. This is it. And you've probably heard the stories about how close the broadcasters are to the playing field. John Miller, when he was the voice of the Oakland A's for a year, tells the story about Gene Tennis fouling a ball off his foot, hobbled out of the batter's box. John Miller said over the A's radio network, well, Tennis appears to be in a great deal of agony. Tennis dropped his bat, looked up at John Miller and said, now that's a brilliant deduction. On the field, let me show you home plate. That is kind of what we're here for. Right down here, this is it. I mean, this has been here, this particular plate, for how many years now? 100-ish. This thing hasn't changed. I just got a little dirty there. That's all right. Ty Cobb used to make sure that this whole area was more than dirty. In fact, he turned it into a marsh when he wanted to. This was called Cobb's Lake all around here. When there was a team coming in that liked to bunt the ball, he said, you know what, we'll just kind of take that away. We'll make this area here impossible to lay one down. Over here. No, down here. Here. I'm over here. See, I might be the only guy that does not bang his head on these dugouts, if we can call them that. They are the smallest dugouts, no question, in Major League Baseball. A big league ball player of more than 5'7" is going to hit his head on the top of this thing. They are small, they are dank, they are dark, they are musty, they are gross, but they're home. At least they have been since the turn of the century. If you want to escape from here, you go down into that corridor, and it doesn't get much better, actually. It's kind of like going down into the Bat Cave. Where's Waldo? Hi, how's it going? Obstructed view seating. Won't miss that about Tiger Stadium. You know, the Tigers have maintained there are only 2,500 obstructed view seats in Tiger Stadium. I think I sat in every single one of them as a kid. But this actually is where you could sit back in Ty Cobb's day, and you could root for him. If it was Labor Day, the tradition was that you threw your hat on the field as soon as the Tigers did something positive in that game. And Ty Cobb would tell the groundskeepers to collect the hats so that he could take them home to Georgia in the offseason, give them to his donkeys to keep them out of the hot sun. You're a cheapskate, Cobb! All right, if you're looking out from the dugout at the infield, well, here's a broom. You have to have a broom, right? This is what the guys use. Oh, it's heavy. I didn't realize it was so heavy. Herbie Redmond, I'm not. I wish I was. I can't even do the Macarena. Herbie Redmond was the guy you might remember. They got everybody up and ready to dance in the 1970s. All right, now we're in right field, which, believe it or not, used to actually be home to home plate. This was a turned around stadium way back when, but we can't come to right field and talk about home plate. We're here to talk about the rooftop home runs again. Reggie Jackson hit one off the transformer in 1971 during the All-Star game. Might be the most replayed Tiger Stadium home run ever. Of course, my partner Kirk Gibson cleared the roof a couple times, but it was up there in section about 436 that he put that ball from Goose Gossage, Game 5, 1984 World Series. We cannot leave right field without talking about the overhang. The right field overhang, a glorious place to watch a ball game, as Gibby and I found out earlier this month. By the foul pole in the right field overhang, we are very pleased to be blazing that trail tonight. Josh Lewin along with Kirk Gibson. Welcome to our broadcast booth. We are amongst the crowd here tonight, planning on having a great time. The Tigers... Well, it was being amongst history tonight, and sadly we can't take the overhang with us. The flagpole is going to make the journey. Home plate has already made the journey over to Comerica Park. They dug it up here a little bit earlier tonight, drove it on over in a nice limousine. One thing that absolutely will not be dug up, I got to let you know,
is right about where I'm standing. It's underneath my ratty sneakers right now. 45 years ago, remember Frank Larry, the Yankee killer? He was also a cricket killer. He had a pet cricket named Jiminy. It died. He buried it right here. I have that on good authority. Mickey Lolich is our source. But anyway, the flagpole, 125 feet of history, off it goes very soon. A little paint job would be nice. Let's go back to John Keating.
So there you have it. One of the nuances of Tiger Stadium, dead crickets buried in the outfield, out in center field, right at the base of the flagpole. When it comes to Tiger Stadium, a lot of people have worn their hearts on their sleeve, completely open about their sense of loss to some degree. For almost a decade, Tom Selleck wore his heart on his head. A longtime Tiger fan, his devotion became a part of his character in his long-running and highly rated television show, Magnum P.I. He was only 3 when his dad moved the family out of Detroit, but the Tigers were always a part of them. Tiger Stadium is all about fathers and their children, even children who grow up to be famous.
And I suspect my first game at Tiger Stadium wasn't a Tiger game. I think it was the annual Cleveland Browns Detroit Lions game, but it was Briggs Stadium. Yeah. And my dad's uncle, Lyle Fife, was president
of the Detroit Lions.
So his favorite seats were, I think it was in left field.
Yeah, upper deck, left field.
Upper deck, right behind the goalposts, and you were really right on top of it.
I got to the 1941 All-Star game.
Yeah.
And did my little ushering stint, and then had a very good seat in the grandstand.
Wow.
And Ted Williams came up in the 9th inning. Ted Williams was the first guy that ever hit it out of Tiger Stadium.
Wow.
It hit on the roof of the right field stands and just went right on over.
I know early on when we were playing Little League, so I would have been 8, 9, 10, I got through, I think my dad and my Uncle Lyle, my brother Bob and I got to go in the Tiger locker room. And I met Al Kaline and Harvey Keene, and that was indelible.
Exciting for them, you know, our oldest son Bob and Tom. And when we'd go back there, not only were they excited to see the Tigers play, but as Tom referred to, they ended up taking him down in the Tiger dugout, like before the game. And at that point, they'd give him an autographed baseball, or thus the start of the Tiger hat, because they used to present Tom and Bob with the baseball caps.
Well, and that was unheard of then, because they didn't market Major League stuff. I remember I also got a
jacket.
The Tiger warm-up jacket was at that point, and I can't remember whether this is early 60s or 50s, it was navy blue with a big white D here. And you couldn't get any of this stuff. This was like contraband if you had Major League stuff. So I remember somehow, maybe Uncle Lyle,
oh, sure.
helped a little bit.
He did help.
But I got a Tiger, my brother Bob and I both got Tiger warm-up jackets. And it was with great regret that I grew out of it. And in particular, those two guys, that basically we knew each other for quite a long time after that. That was the first place I ever took batting practice with a Major League team. And it's always kind of humiliating, and there's a price you pay because there was a lot of media around, and that cuts your swing down. And I remember hitting the ball, of course, out of the park. And not many guys have done that, except actually I hit a line drive over the right field fence, and it rolled out of the park through the tunnel. Sparky was great, you know, and this was actually spring training, but he pinch hit me in a game. But anyway, I hobbled up to the plate and fouled a bunch of pitches off, and I ended up striking out, but Tim Leanna, the pitcher, I felt honored because he had to strike me out on a knuckle curve. He wasn't throwing me straight stuff. So.
So real-life drama for Tom Selleck.
The most famous eyebrows in the 1980s. Selleck told us that he knew that he was welcomed by the Tigers when he got a chance to dress with them in spring training when they put heat balm, atomic balm, in his athletic supporter. At that point, he was one of the guys. The reason this place is so special is because some of the memories are so vivid, even after, in some instances, decades. When we come back, a look at some of the special baseball moments, the special baseball games this old girl has seen, many witnessed by Sparky Anderson, as we continue our fond farewell.
I can remember coming up to the stadium and seeing the light towers above the stands. I never forgot that. And I always said that's the greatest single thrill I ever had in baseball. Winning the American Legion Championship and winning it in Detroit in 1951. And people say, well, in 1984 you won the World Series. I know, but they don't understand. I was a 17-year-old young kid then, and 48 years later now, I still think of that as the greatest thrill I ever had. And it was Briggs Stadium, but it's still Tiger Stadium.
One of the thrills of my professional life as a football player, because brought back memories of sitting home in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, and watching Thanksgiving Day games and seeing those Detroit Lions running around. And here I was actually getting a chance to play against them in a real game. So I was very excited about it.
He was Broadway Joe Namath, but he can fondly recall football on Trumbull here at Tiger Stadium. The football field was laid out from home plate to left field at Tiger Stadium. The football press box came in handy over the years. It handled the overflow of media types when the Bless You Boys Tigers of '84 were on their way to baseball history. Over the years, when there's a big game here, when there is a playoff game here, when this place is full and rocking, it's an atmosphere unlike many others that you might see in sport. And as Matt Shepard tells us, over the course of its existence, from Bennett Park to Navin Field to Briggs Stadium to Tiger Stadium, when this place rocks, it is truly something special.
When you reminisce about a facility that's been around for 87 years, where they've played baseball on site for 103 seasons, where millions and millions of people have walked through the turnstiles to watch the game they affectionately call America's pastime, you better believe there are going to be memories. More memories than we could ever hope to recount. But if you want to talk Tiger Stadium classics, you might want to start in 1935. On October 7th, 1935, the Tigers returned home for Game 6 of the World Series against the Chicago Cubs. They led the Cubs 3-2, and the score was tied at 3 in the top of the 9th. That's when Chicago third baseman Stan Hack belted a leadoff triple to center. But that's as far as he'd get. 21-game winner Tommy Bridges bore down and struck out Billy Georges. And then in a move you'd never see today, Cubs pitcher Larry French batted for himself and grounded out weakly to the mound. Augie Galla then flew out to center, and the Tiger crowd of 48,420 let out a collective sigh of relief. In the bottom of the 9th, Mickey Cochran was standing right here on second base with 2 down. First base was wide open, but the Cubs elected to pitch to Goose Goslin. Bad mistake. He punched a broken bat single just over the second baseman's head. Cochran scored, and the Tigers had their first World Series championship. You know, a lot of great pitchers have towed the rubber here at the corner in pressure situations, but imagine, if you can, taking the mound the day after your father's funeral. In Game 5 of the World Series, with the series tied at 2 games apiece. Well, it happened right here at what was then known as Briggs Stadium, October 6th, 1940, for Norman Lewis Bobo Newsom. He was the Tigers' ace in 1940, leading them to the pennant by going 21-5. The World Series opened at Crosley Field in Cincinnati. Newsom pitched the Tigers to a 7-2 win in the opener. But the next morning, he awoke in his Cincinnati hotel to discover his father, who was sitting in the stands the day before, had died of a sudden heart attack. Grief-stricken, Newsom went home to bury his dad. 3 days later, he returned to the national spotlight and a record crowd of 55,189 at Briggs. Fighting back tears and promising to win one for Dad, Newsome pitched a 3-hit gem, shutting out the Reds and giving Detroit a 3-2 series edge. Newsome was then called on to pitch Game 7 on just 1 day's rest. But despite his heroic effort, the Tigers lost 2-1. The Tigers would win their second World Championship in 1945, but it would be another 23 years before they made it back to the Fall Classic. That series against the then defending champion St. Louis Cardinals would turn on one play, right here near home plate. That play on October 7th, 1968 is still talked about, even to this day. The Cardinals were the defending World Series champs in 1968, and they showed the baseball world why through the first 4 games. The greatly anticipated pitching showdown between Denny McLain and Bob Gibson never materialized. Gibson dominated the Tigers in Game 1 with a record 17 strikeouts, and he was unbeatable in Game 4 as well. The Tigers came to the ballpark on that Monday facing elimination, down 3-1. Before the fans had settled in, Mickey Lolich had given up 3 runs in the top half of the first.
That game, getting down 3 runs in the first inning and then just battling back, I got 2 hits in the game. I mean, you know, for me to get 2 hits in a World Series game was something. And then the great play that happened with Brock not sliding, I mean, Willie making that fantastic throw from left field and getting Brock, and then we go ahead and keeping the Tigers alive to go into the World Series to continue on. So, I mean, I think it's probably the ultimate game I ever played in.
Nobody knows why Brock didn't slide, but Bill Freehand used perfect textbook technique in blocking the plate. The Tigers held the score at 3-2, would rally into 7th, win Game 5, and then win the final 2 games at Busch Stadium in St. Louis for their 3rd World Championship, becoming just the 3rd team in Major League history to rally from a 3-1 deficit. I don't think there's been an all-star game played where somebody hasn't mentioned that mammoth shot by Reggie Jackson in 1971. But the biggest home run delivered in recent memory landed right about here, where I'm sitting today. An incredible moment and an appropriate exclamation point to an incredible season, a season that ended October 14th, 1984. When they came out of the gate at 35-5, you knew the '84 Tigers were special. They led wire to wire, clinched the AL East in early September, then swept the Royals in 3 straight to reach the World Series against the San Diego Padres. It was 5-4 Tigers when the dramatic stage was set in the bottom half of the 8th. Gibson stalked to the plate with runners on 2nd and 3rd and 1 down. San Diego skipper Dick Williams wanted to walk Gibson, but fireballer Goose Gossage talked him out of it. The rest is history. Just some of the great memories at this shrine we affectionately call the Corner. And the stories get better each time we retell them. Folks, they have played football, rock and roll, even opera here. But the memories that linger longest involve a small piece of cowhide and a wooden bat.
We'll remember those faces. All right, Matt, thanks. One of the important figures in the memories of Tiger Stadium is our own Kirk Gibson. When we come back, Gibby talks of those who left the park. They are a rather select few. But as we head to break, here's how longtime Game of the Week broadcaster Joe Garagiola will recall this place.
Tiger Stadium for a broadcaster. I never played in the American League, but it had to be a great place to hit in. That it's a given. But as a broadcaster, undoubtedly was the best in baseball because you were so close. I mean, when we broadcast on the third base side, it was great. And then when we went behind home plate, you could talk to the players, talk to the umpires between innings. The only thing about the third base ledge, I always felt like I was in a submarine with no bathroom facilities, man. You had to go to the bathroom, you were hurting. But it was a great place to broadcast.
Yeah, there's moments that come flying back at you. That big foul pole out there, I remember when Chet Lemon hit it, and they didn't have a circle down there that if you hit it above the flagpole at a certain point, it would be a homer. So we were all running around to end up with a triple out of that, and the ball must have been 440 feet.
They'll be done using that flagpole that Cal Ripken talked of, and the pole is one of the touches of Tiger Stadium that will make the trip over to Comerica Park. Home plate is already there, having been uprooted and replanted already tonight. Welcome back to the show. Another of the nuances of Tiger Stadium, rare now in baseball, is the fact that it's double-decked all the way around. One enclosed square of baseball fun. And to hit one out, truly out of this ballpark, is a rather noteworthy accomplishment. With a rare view of the stadium, here's one of the guys who's done it. To Kirk Gibson, this was always his field of dreams.
The one constant through all the years has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, it reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Those words are instant flashbacks into our childhood. Baseball at the corner is something that will always be cherished in our memories. Thinking back fondly on those years, watching your idols take the field, and donning the old English D on the whitest uniforms you have ever seen. Inevitably, your recollections of watching big leaguers for the first time gravitate directly to the game's most exciting play. When lightning strikes. No home run. One of Tiger Stadium's many charms is the dramatic and unique home runs. Whether it be 440 feet to straight center, the deepest center field in all of baseball, or just catching the overhang and right, the long ball at the corner is always an adventure. Wait a minute, don't forget about the home run unique only to Tiger Stadium. A visit to Brooks Lumber, over the roof, something I know a little bit about.
Drive to deep right field, that is way up there, that is out of here!
You know, there's a certain mystique about hitting the ball over the roof. Something special and prominently etched in the memories of all Tiger fans. 36 home runs have traveled over the roof and out of Tiger Stadium. The names are legendary. Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Reggie Jackson, Norm Cash, George Brett, and yes, yours truly. Only 4 balls have been hit out over the left field roof. Harmon Killebrew, Frank Howard, Cecil Fielder, and Big Mac Mark McGwire. There's something else that all these individuals have in common. Hitting these home runs is something they will always remember.
It's definitely what people remember. Even about 20 years later, when people are talking about Jason Thompson, who used to play for the Tigers, it's, oh, you hit it over the roof. Everybody was at that game. There must have been 500,000 people were at the games. I hit them over the roof. So the excitement is that everybody knows who hit it over the roof, and that's what they remember.
The thing is with the rooftop shot, it's just you know, kind of a checkpoint where a lot of the power hitters are coming into town. It gives them something to shoot at, and you know, every now and then you catch one, and you got the breeze blowing with you, and you happen to get the right height on it and get it to carry for you. But it's exciting. It's an exciting thing for the fans to look at. It's exciting for the players to talk about.
So to do it twice, and to be, you know, in the same group of players like Norm Cash, Mickey Mantle, that's very special.
Holy Toledo, there it goes. It may go foul, though. It's on the roof and out of here. It's a fair ball. Man, did he hit that ball.
Well, the one everybody remembers, and don't tell Mickey Lolich this, he'll put a part in my hair the next time I have to face him. But I hit one over the left field roof off of my good friend Mickey Lolich. And I don't talk much about it, because like I say, the next time I face him, I don't want him to put a part in my hair.
I know for a fact, batters aren't the only ones who remember roof jobs. The pitchers remember the ball traveling over the roof as well.
Actually, I got Frank Howard out really well all the time. He went on a home run spree where he hit 10 home runs in a 1-week period, a 7-day period, and he actually hit the first one off me and the last one off of me, and the last one was the one that went into orbit. When he hit it, I knew it was out of the ballpark. I mean, I knew it was gone. It was a home run. And then I turned to see how far it went, and I was looking up in the upper deck because I figured a lot of balls went in the upper deck, and I didn't see it, you know? And then I looked up a little higher and I saw it skipping over the roof, and it was like, hey, there's a satellite shot for you. That's pretty neat.
I believe it was the top of the ninth. He had 29 home runs, 199 hits. I said, I'm not walking him. Drew a Rosie, good fastball, about 82. And he ripped it right over the 1945 sign, and it never came down. It was deep. But you know what, though? Hey, you know, anything to help out somebody's career.
Bobby Bonilla hit it. It was a 2-0 changeup, and he hit it. And when he hit it, it sounded like I don't know if anybody's ever been to like a golf tournament, and they swing, and then you can hear this just, and that's the way it sounded as it was going out, and it was really just, I mean, it was, honest to God, it was beautiful to see. And Ernie Harwell said it was the longest ball he's ever seen hit by a left-hander in Tiger Stadium. So actually, I was almost a little proud of it.
On the roof, the only place I know, where you just have to wish to make it so. Let's go up on the roof.
That is out of here! It is absolute poetry that the last hit ever at Tiger Stadium was a roof job by young Robert Fick. Kirk Gibson joins us. Quite a night. You like great drama. When Robert Fick hit his shot, this place went bonkers.
Well, it really did, and you know, it reminded me a lot of '84, and all my '84 guys here tonight. I think it was very good for Robert to do that. And the thing that's very important for that, and I told Robert Fick this, I always had an affirmation. I said, I love pressure situations because I perform even better under these circumstances, but you have to have something that you did to imprint that in your mind. Now, he not only has something to imprint, but all the Tigers that were here tonight have that moment, and they can hear that crowd.
Sure.
And that's the kind of thing, if you want to be a winner and you want to fight through those times when you're just not believing in yourself, remember that moment tonight. It'll help you through it.
Well, we closed Tiger Stadium tonight. You're I think the toughest guy I know. Did you cry?
I didn't cry. It wasn't sad for me at all tonight. Not one bit. I was very happy. I didn't know what to expect. And to be quite honest with you, it was better than I could ever believe. And I don't want a Christmas present because it came tonight. To be able to come out and put the English D on, and you know, I got a little crazy there, a little emotion, but to be able to come out, put the English D on, and stand in front of a packed house.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You jumped your cue a little bit. You were so excited to get on the field, you didn't get a chance to pose for the camera as you entered Tiger Stadium.
I didn't want to pose. I just wanted to come out here and hook up with the fans one last time. And hopefully, it was very, very exciting for me. And let me just say this about all the guys that were here before I was here and here after I was here. Tonight, we were very, very proud to have that English D on our chest. I mean, it was incredible, the feeling here tonight.
All you guys dressed together in sort of a makeshift dressing room out in center field. What was said as you guys were preparing for this ceremony?
You know, it was like a brotherhood. It was like business as usual. Everybody went into a locker room, even though it was makeshift. It was hot and stanky, like it used to be in Tiger Stadium. The quarters were small. And even the guys that I didn't play with, like Al Kaline and Willie Horton and those guys, and even the guys before them, it's like, hey, how you doing? You know, it's like we'd play together forever. And, you know, the Tigers organization, they should be commended on what they did this weekend. It started last night. And the fans of Detroit, you certainly made us proud tonight because you know what, they're all waiting live to show us tearing this place up. We all live here because we love it.
If you're doing a good job, they let you know that you're doing a good job. But if you're not, they're going to let you know you're not doing a good job.
The best seat in the house, and he says in the game, belongs to Tigers broadcaster Ernie Harwell.
We've got an old gag. We say we can see him sweat and hear him cuss. We're so close.
Harwell has called Tigers games since 1960. Some 48 years after Tiger Stadium, then called Navin Field, first opened. At that time, the Tigers' great star, their greatest ever, was Ty Cobb. Cobb, who had the highest lifetime batting average in baseball history, was a driven and brilliant man, and alas, a vicious racist. And the Tiger franchise had a sorry history as the next to last team in baseball to hire a black player. But the Tigers also featured perhaps baseball's greatest Jewish player, home run hitter Hank Greenberg, and the team's list of Hall of Famers contains names and ethnic heritages as diverse as Cochran, Crawford, Gehringer, Kaline, Manouche, and Kell. And more recently, the Tigers had one of baseball's best and longest-running double-play combinations.
Detroit's dynamic duo of the 70s and 80s and through the mid-90s was, Lou Whitaker and Ellen Trammell.
Bouncer to Trammell, out at second and out at first. They turn the double play.
The men were of different races and had contrasting personalities.
But, they went together like hot dogs and beans.
The 90s have been cruel years for the Tigers. The team has rarely been a contender, and its home park has been judged obsolete.
Once it was decided that Tiger Stadium was beyond resuscitation, the major question was where to move the ball club. The choices essentially two: downtown Detroit or the suburbs. And the recent experiences of the Motor City's other major sports franchises only confuse the issue.
The NFL Detroit Lions moved to the Silverdome outside the city in Pontiac in 1975. But now the Lions want to move back downtown, right next door to the Tigers' new Comerica Park. The NBA Pistons have been in their suburban palace in Auburn Hills since 1989 and aren't looking back. While the NHL Red Wings, owned like the Tigers by Mike Ilitch, never left downtown and never will.
One, because Mike Ilitch owns a lot of businesses downtown, so it'd be foolish for him to move to the suburbs. The other thing about the Red Wings is it's also Canada's team. Windsor's right across the river, so the Wings have to stay downtown, so to be close to the border and also downtown to help Mike Ilitch's business.
In fact, the new ball yard, Comerica Park, is right across Woodward Avenue from Ilitch's Fox Theater and his Second City Comedy Club. But the real bonanza is inside the new park itself, where an entire mid-level of corporate boxes and club seats will generate big bucks, as will the best grandstand seats, which will go for $75 a pop. To build out, the new economics make for a major social loss. At Tiger Stadium,
it's a democratic stadium where the wealthy, the middle class, and even the poor can all come into a ballpark and sit in many different seats and be very close to the field.
While at Comerica Park,
you're going to be looking at the haves in the glassed-in luxury suites, and the have-nots are going to be in nosebleed country in the upper deck at this new stadium. And it's going to lose the ambiance of what baseball's all about.
Increasingly, says economist Andrew Zimbalist, what baseball is all about is...
It's becoming a corporate experience now more and more.
Zimbalist contends even baseball's model new stadiums, Baltimore's Oriole Park at Camden Yards and Cleveland's Jacobs Field, haven't brought new money into their cities as much as they've moved money around, taking it away, for example, from the tiny improvised parking lots and the beer and shot bars like those surrounding Tiger Stadium, and directing it to the ball club and its shops, restaurants, and souvenir stands inside the new ballpark complex.
The local merchants are being left out in the street, and all of that activity is being transferred to Mr. Ilitch.
If recent history in Baltimore and Cleveland is any guide, says Zimbalist, transplanting home plate will bring Tiger fans to a modern amusement center in which the ball game is only part of the fun, while bringing Tiger management a fortune, some of which might be spent on better players and a better ball club.
In a moment, we'll talk with the mayor of Detroit, the longtime voice of the Tigers, and a sports columnist on the passing of an era.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Honda
Stadium. The last words spoken by Tiger broadcaster Ernie Harwell.
Tonight, we must say goodbye
Farewell, old friend. Tiger Stadium, we will remember.
Joining us now from Tiger Stadium, Ernie Harwell, the play-by-play voice of the Tigers since 1960. Mitch Albom, syndicated columnist of the Detroit Free Press, and the mayor of the city of Detroit, Dennis Archer. Ernie, let me start with you. You've spent so much time painting word pictures. We've seen some video pictures, but give us in words some of your emotions today at giving up what's been your workplace for almost 40 years.
Dave, I think it was a very emotional evening. It was a great evening. The people here had a great time. And what impressed me so much and moved me more than anything else was the behavior of the crowd. They were attentive, they were loyal, they were dignified, and they really respected this great old ballpark. And that made me feel better than anything else could possibly make me feel.
Well, as somebody beautifully told the Associated Press tonight, it was a Ruly crowd. Mitch, they say there's no cheering in the press box, but what about tearing up? Was there real emotion inside the press box tonight?
I think even amongst the hard-bitten journalists, there was a little bit of nostalgia. This place is a bit of an ugly duckling love affair that you have. Some of the things that aren't so great about it, the smells, the poles that sit in front of the seats, the bad press box viewing area, are the things you actually come to love over time. Even the bumping of your head in the dugout, which you heard in the opening piece. Players have welts on their heads as memories of Tiger Stadium trying to see what was going on. It's hard not to feel nostalgic about a place that's been around for really the century, because it connects virtually everybody in this city and everybody in this state.
Mayor Archer, I assume that tonight you were Tiger fan, Archer. What are your memories? What's your favorite moment of the old ballpark?
I think I have several. Willie Horton, for example, was a high school graduate here in Detroit, and the kind of pride that everybody felt in him when he'd come up to the plate. He was an excellent hitter. He contributed mightily to the city, continues to do so. Earl Wilson, an outstanding pitcher, and could hit a home run out the park long before we started using designated hitters and having someone there. But I think my wife and I, Trudy, think back to when Goose Gossage challenged Kirk Gibson. On other occasions, he had smoked him and gotten by, and here we are at the World Series, and Kirk Gibson comes up to the plate. Goose, the manager, goes out to talk to the pitcher, Goose Gossage. Goose obviously convinces him, hey, I got this guy, I'll dust him out, I've had him before. Kirk Gibson hits the ball right out the park, and of course we went on to win the World Series that night, and it was just an outstanding game.
Mitch, in the sort of densely packed eastern corridor, people think of ballparks as municipal possessions, or in the case of Ebbets Field, a borough's possession. Tiger Stadium belonged to a much wider constituency than just Detroit, no?
Yeah, really, it's a state of Michigan type of thing, and even parts of Ohio and neighboring states. I think if you take any two people from the state of Michigan and say to them, all right, what's one place that you have in common? It's going to be right here at Tiger Stadium. At some point in your life, you came down here with your father, your grandfather, your grandmother, your uncle. Everyone spent some time here, and I think that's why you saw at the end of this game was a wonderful moment where all the old players came out one at a time and went onto the field. And sometimes a crowd will get bored or unruly. It was silent. It was almost reverential. And I think what happened was this entire stadium, 50, 60,000 people, were remembering their own lives here. And that's why it was quiet. It was almost like church. They were seeing these players and they were remembering where they were when these players came out. And that's the kind of connection you get in a stadium like this, in a state like this, where baseball has pulled it together many a time over many a year.
When we come back, Tiger Stadium is only one of 3 big league parks shutting down this season. Is this a trend, and what's it all about? Consider this. With the closing this week of Tiger Stadium, Houston's Astrodome, and San Francisco's Candlestick Park, a.k.a. 3Com Stadium, only Boston's Fenway Park, Chicago's Wrigley Field, and New York's Yankee Stadium remain of baseball's grand old ballparks. And Fenway may be replaced soon. And when it closes, the 3rd oldest park in Major League Baseball will be Dodger Stadium, Los Angeles, built in 1962. That's a lot of change, Mitch Albom, but is it progress?
Well, let's be clear about something, Dave, with baseball stadiums, different than probably every other stadium. People are more sentimental about baseball stadiums. I like to say that sometimes you find your childhood in a baseball stadium, and sometimes you leave it there too. And so any notion of someone taking down your stadium hits you a little bit in the heart. But I don't think Detroit, in fairness to Tiger Stadium and this organization, should be held responsible for what's happening in the sport of baseball. It's been 88 years that this building has been here. In that period of time, many other cities have opened, closed, opened, closed, opened and closed stadiums for baseball, while Tiger Stadium still stood. The fact is, these are the economics of the sport. And if you want to compete, and that is what puts people in the seats here, you have to have a big budget to pay for expensive players. Witness the New York Yankees, because this is a sport that doesn't have a salary cap. In order to do that, whether you think it's right or wrong, you have to get the money from luxury boxes and other extended things that you can't really get in a stadium like this anymore. So the sport, the economics have dictated that it's progress. It's really not up for anyone else to judge it, because if you don't win and you don't put people in the seats, eventually you're going to lose your team and it's going to move to some other city that will.
And economists like Andy Zimbalist say that among the recent stadium deals, the one for Comerica Park is among the best for the city, in part because Mike Ilitch is kicking in more than $100 million of his own money to help build his own ballpark. Mayor Archer, how'd you negotiate such a favorable deal for the city?
Well, let me just indicate that when you combine both stadia, it's a $504 million investment. And both teams, the Ilitch organization owning the Detroit Tigers and the Ford family owning the Detroit Lions, they didn't have to, I mean, they set the bar sky high. The overwhelming amount of money invested is coming from the private sector. The public contribution is less than 50%. Now that's talking about from the city of Detroit, from the county of Wayne, and from the state of Michigan. So we're very blessed to have two outstanding family organizations who love their city and who love the sport and believe investing back. We're very fortunate in the city to have the likes of Mike Ilitch and his family and William Clay Ford Sr. and Jr. and their family.
What about the anti-democratic aspect of the stadium change that Bill Dow of the Tiger Stadium fan club was pointing to? There is a whole different economic structure in the seating at the new Comerica Park. Mr. Mayor, do you miss the fact that at Tiger Stadium everybody essentially stays close to the park, even though they may pay different prices for their tickets, while at the new park, the high-priced folks are going to have their own parking, their own entrance, their own concessions, and have something of a different experience from the guys in the lower and upper decks?
Dave, in any new stadia, it is not uncommon to be able to accommodate those who are going to be paying the higher end. The same kind of thing occurs in stadia across the United States. But I think what you're going to find here, and what our fans will find, is that they're actually going to be closer to the field. The ambiance are going to be better. And as Mitch pointed out earlier in the first segment, we're going to have cleaner bathrooms and all of the amenities that just make a ballpark the kind of respectable place where you can bring your family, your children, your wife, etc. And it's going to be so much better. And I believe that the fans will really appreciate it. I can't wait to hear Ernie Harwell call the first game there and read what Mitch Albom's going to write. When Mitch writes, he writes in prose. You watch what occurs. It's going to be a different ball game. And I respect what Bill Dow has to say, but I will tell you, when the issue came up as to whether or not public funds ought to be used in the park, Bill Dow led the opposition. The city of Detroit voted him down 81 to 19%.
And that, Dave, if I can add something to it, that brings up something that hasn't been brought up yet, and people might not know unless they live here in Detroit, and that is that given what's happened in the city and its sometimes bleak history, economic and downtown, the notion of something new, the notion of an area in Detroit where there are other businesses that will blossom as a result of it, where there's an area to walk around at night, not just drive into the stadium and drive right back home, which is frequently what happens here at Tiger Stadium, excites a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are excited about the notion of Detroit growing in a different way simply because there's going to be two new stadiums downtown near the theaters, near their other restaurants. A stadium will not save a city. It never has. It never will. But it can inspire a sort of confidence, particularly in cities that could use a little boost in that area. And it's not just about the baseball stadium. It's about what it does to your perception of the city of Detroit.
Well, the perception of the game is going to be in the hands and in the microphone of Ernie Harwell. Ernie, do you know what your new broadcast position is going to be? You're going to have that same wonderful, as Red Barber said, catbird seat?
Well, Dave, I don't think it'll be that close, but I know that it'll be a good one. I don't think we can get as close in any new ballpark as we have been in this one, because as far as I know, in the current ballparks, this is by far the closest. And the only one I've ever seen that was any closer might have been old Griffith Stadium in Washington, which has been gone a long time.
Gone but never forgotten here in the nation's capital. Mitch Albom, Ernie Harwell, Mayor Dennis Archer, thanks for joining us tonight. I'll be back with more in a moment. Here at ABC News, good night.
Tonight, we must say goodbye. Farewell, old friend. Tiger Stadium, we will remember.
Especially special because his terminally ill father was there to share in the great moment. Well, unfortunately, Robert Fick's dad couldn't be there on Monday night at Tiger Stadium for the finale. He missed one of the greatest home runs in recent memory at the corner when Robert Fick hit a grand slam off the right field tower, one of the great moments of the night. All season long, fans have been coming to the corner to honor Tiger Stadium. And on Monday, the celebration at the Grand Old Ballpark reached an incredible crescendo.
There's a fly ball lifted out toward deep center field. Beltran back, and there she goes. There's a long blast to left off the bat of Kareem Garcia, and there she goes. This could be two. Easily to Cruz. Two for the Tigers.
Those exciting moments were just a glimpse of what lie ahead. With bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th, Robert Fick stepped into the box wearing number 25 in honor of all-time Tiger Norm Cash.
Oh, there she goes, and it is on the roof. Robert Fick, a grand slam that hits the roof.
It was something else. I mean, today Al Kaline came up to me right before the game, and he said, "Hey, Ficky, why don't you make history today?" He said Norm Cash, he would hit one today, and I said, "All right, I'll get you one today."
Could you ask for a better ending than a grand slam?
And off the roof, no doubt. You couldn't ask for it any better than that. And, you know, and a guy that's got a chance to be a part of the future here, and, you know, hitting the ball. And, you know, you just couldn't have drew it up any better.
I was supposed to get pinch hit for the last at bat, and LP let me swing the bat, and I got in there, and I don't know, I just felt really ready, and he threw me a pitch right there, and I got lucky enough to get good wood on it. I mean, it's something I'm never going to forget. I'm in awe, and I mean, I'm numb right now. It's by far the greatest hit I've ever had.
The flash bulbs at the ballpark sparkled like diamonds, creating a perfect backdrop for the heroes of today and yesteryear.
To just run out there and the people screaming, to me it was like flashbacks like you've never felt before in a long time. And right now, it's like my feet aren't touching the ground when I'm walking. Just to look around, it was like I was playing baseball all over again, but it all has to come to an end now. Now I gotta go home. I got my piece of dirt.
A piece? You got a whole bag full?
Well, I got a bag full. You know why? Because I'm gonna make little things up for different people that I know that have been involved with me and stuff, and I'm just gonna give it to them.
Willie, you and I talked last month. You didn't think you were gonna be here for tonight. You made the decision to come. Was that the right decision?
Yes, it was hard. I said my last prayer before I went out. And I said a prayer, and I said my wife said a prayer for me at home, and I made it. And but the fan, I fell down, and Herndon was out there, so let it all out of you. You know, this is your life, this is your house, and I really can't express. Right now, I'm still going through the sweat and the nerves of that. And I really thanks Rodriguez, a teammate of mine, talking me into it, and a good friend of mine, Mark Down, talked me into it, and other people that say they love you. That's my strength, them folks out there, and I hope that the other part get the same feeling for the other players.
Well, you know, it was kind of a bittersweet moment for tonight because even though I had a lot of good memories about Tiger Stadium and played a lot of games, it's also sad because as of tonight, there will be no more Tiger Stadium. And starting next year, the team in Comerica Park will start making their own history. And, you know, we won't be a part of that because, you know, we won't be playing. But it's been 25 years in the Tigers organization. It's really been great. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you, Tiger Stadium, for nearly a century of memories. Your glorious tenure may have ended, but your place in our hearts will never die. Brian Moeller got the win that night at Tiger Stadium. He was scheduled to start today, but won't because the game has been called. But stay tuned because coming up, Josh Lewin and Kirk Gibson put their exclamation point on the 1999 baseball season.
Of course, the closing of Tiger Stadium, dotting our memories here, and it's been a very interesting year.
Well, it really has, and obviously everybody is disappointed in the outcome. We'd all like to go to the postseason. Everybody gets frustrated, you and I included, Josh, and we sometimes maybe are too critical of where this club really stands. They have made great strides. Let's face it, a lot of young players on this ball club. They've had great years. I think Gabe Kapler, Juan Encarnacion, we think he's going to be okay. You got Matt Anderson, Francisco Cordero. These kids, they're overmatched, let's face it. We all tried to build them up and hope that they would act like Ken Griffey Jr.'s, but it just doesn't happen. That's the game of Major League Baseball. They've had a good building year. I like what I see in Larry Parrish and his coaching staff, and I hope that they're back. They've come a long way. They've understood their mistakes, and I see the improvements. I hear them talking about what they're going to do next year, and what they're talking about doing is taking this young club to the next level. And for the guys like Dean Palmer, Tony Clark, Damian Easley, Brad Ausmus, Doug Brocail, Todd Jones, that's the nucleus of this team, and they are a nucleus. I think there's something that you got to work with, but guys, you can always get better. My advice, go out, get your grocery bag, fill it up, and just keep filling it with wisdom. Talk to everybody you can. I know there's been some criticism that you thought might be a little overly objective. It's only because we're after the same thing. And that's a winning season for the Tigers, a postseason appearance, and a World Series championship in that new Comerica Park. And everybody listening and watching right here, don't forget, we're a team. Together, everybody achieves more.
Well, and on this team in particular here on Fox Sports Net, Gibby, if I can speak for the both of us.
Go ahead.
We've had a lot of fun. We've had a lot of people that have helped us along the way, people that you haven't had a chance to see behind the scenes. That goes for the Tigers, too. They've been a very nice organization to work with again. As you say, we all want the same thing. We want to see winning Tigers baseball. Hopefully, the next millennium and the new ballpark will bring that to us. And, my friend, it's been a real pleasure. We'll do it again.
Hey, unfortunately, we'll be back.
Exactly.
Fortunately.
Well, the Tigers will wrap up the season 1 win short of 70. Tony Clark 1 RBI short of 100. And some things did not happen, but some things did. We're going to look back fondly at some things that did make us smile in 1999. Until next millennium, goodbye.
Bye.
1999 begins with this.
Uh-oh, that's first pitch swinging. That could be.
I kind of like that, Gibby. I really like it. Oh, and he swerved it right over the corner. Play at the plate. Palmer is safe.
Oh, good slide, Dino Palmer.
He blew him away. Bobby Higginson back. Leaping.
Oh, that one hit Tony in the head. Here he comes.
Easily diving again. Spinning.
Fly ball, short right center. Everybody's running. Kapler laying out.
They're waving in the other runner. Play at the plate. Out at home plate.
There's one hit to deep right. Watch this, baby. Over the roof.
And Chuck Merriweather's thrown Anderson out of the game.
That's ridiculous.
And Parrish is gone. Ausmus into the alley. Davey towards the alley. Dover's head. Here comes Brad Ausmus. Tigers 8, Mariners 7. Good night. Walk it off, Josh.
Hey, Garcia going over. Got it. Baby Kareem Garcia. Deja vu, perhaps. Left field. Grand slam. Clark deep drive. Right field. Long gone.
Ryan Moeller 1 strike away from his 5th career shutout. Ball game!
Pass Jones to second. Easily to first. Yes. Double play. Yes.
Davy Cruz to Damian Easley for the out. What a great play by Davy. Simmons wallops it to left field, and Carnacion with the catch. And now Lofton's at third. Or is he? He got it. He's out.
Yeah, he's got it to right field, and here comes Jeffrey.
Get going.
Play at the plate. Tigers have won it.
Al told him he'd hit a home run today. Oh, and he did! There she goes! And it is on the roof! Got him! Ball game!
Farewell, old friend. Tiger Stadium, we will remember.
When you think of the game in Detroit, you think of the corner. The corner of Michigan and Trumbull has been home to the game of baseball for over 100 years. Baseball is forever. A game of memories on sunny summer afternoons, on cool, crisp evenings, unique memories that families have passed down through generations.
He swings a line shot, base hit, right field, the Tigers win it. Here comes Kaline to score, and it's all over. Downward singles, the Tigers mob Don. Kaline has scored, the fans are streaming on the field, and the Tigers have won their first pennant since 1945.
Bennett Park, Navin Field, Briggs Stadium, and lastly, Tiger Stadium.
Popped up in foul ground and playable, and the Tigers win the pennant.
A place where baseball has been known for over a century. A place where tears have turned to cheers. And a place we'll remember.
Indeed, Tiger Stadium is not about steel and mortar that, to be honest, have each seen better days. It's about memories of growing up here to some degree, of spending the day in the sun with those that are close to us, of spending the day with a team with whom we have lived and died. And that's why it will be missed. It's been said the best things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Good evening, everybody, and let me be one of the last to say it. Welcome inside Tiger Stadium. I'm John Keating. Well, she's sleeping now, but it's been a rather busy day for the old girl. Tiger Stadium's last day to receive baseball visitors. A new park awaits. In the case of baseball in this town, it will be the completion of a very wide circle of life. In the next hour, we'll look back at some of the corner's glory of the most important memories and talk of others with others, including Willie Horton, who recalls his youth and in his hometown this home away from home. Josh Lewin swings us around the park and shows us some of the intricacies of Tiger Stadium. Longtime Tiger fan Tom Selleck and his dad talk of their days here in Detroit. You want big games? There were many, including Bobo Newsom's heroic effort in the World Series, plus the home runs. How many and who hit them out of Tiger Stadium? All that's still to come. Once upon a time, they came by horse and carriage to see Detroit's baseball team play a game on this site. All of the history here began in 1896. We knew nothing of world wars when they started playing baseball at the corner. Radio was just a rumor at the time, and there was no need for parking lots since the automobile had just been invented. It was the end of April 1896. Detroit beat the Columbus Senators in a professional baseball game at what was known as Bennett Park. That was a piece of earth named for a catcher in town who'd been crippled in a freak streetcar accident. When the Tigers became a major league franchise in 1901, the capacity moaned its way up to 10,000. For the 1909 World Series, temporary bleachers pushed it north of 17,000. But clearly a change was in order. Team owner Frank Navin could wait no longer. And in 1911, the grandstands were torn down, and for a then eye-popping cost of $300,000, what is now Tiger Stadium grew out of the ground and reconfigured. Home plate was moved from right field to its present location, and the stadium was renamed for the man who paid for it. It became Navin Field.
And here's the first pitch, gets a line drive single into left field.
While the new park was listed as having a capacity of 23,000, more than 24,000 were in attendance at the Corners reopening, a game in which Ty Cobb stole home. Eventually, as Navin passed away and control of the team was assumed by Walter Briggs, Tiger Stadium's second deck was added, bumping capacity to 36,000. And under Briggs, the largest renovations were still to come. The ballpark was enclosed by adding left and center field stands and then expanded again. And in 1953, the man responsible for ballooning capacity to 53,000 renamed the park for himself. Briggs Stadium was born.
And breaks the Browns back. Tobin tosses a cross-country pass to Jim Dorn, and the play goes all the way.
One of the reasons for the expansion was that the Tigers were also sharing the facility with a Detroit Lions team that was dominant in the NFL. Aside from the 1940 season, in which they used the University of Detroit's football field, the corner of Michigan and Trumbull was the Lions' Den from 1938 through 74. And it was so decreed finally in 1948, let there be light. The Tigers, the last of the teams in the American League to play a night game at home. By 1961, broadcasting magnate John Fetzer purchased control of the club, and the corner was renamed again to be known until its conclusion as Tiger Stadium. The team that would win the World Championship in 1968 was the first ever in baseball to draw 2 million fans to the corner. The once green seats were replaced, and under a major renovation, the blue and orange motif was put in place as most of the seats were replaced and the park was repainted. And that was the scene of baseball glory again in 1984 under new owner Tom Monahan.
And a show of unrestrained joy, ending a season they totally dominated. The Tigers are truly champions.
There have been revivals and concerts, and just recently, the three tenors went around the horn within Tiger Stadium, but those were merely distractions. This was always, first and foremost, a ballpark. And there was another chapter of memories here at Tiger Stadium tonight, memories that we will not forget. You know, it's not easy working a baseball beat. The hours at places like this are endless. George Cantor did it, and did it very well for the Free Press for 4 years, and then crossed over to the dark side, away from sports. He's now a columnist for the Detroit News and an author on the Detroit Tigers. And we're